Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for choosing our show, and thank you once again for your continued support to this channel. In case you are watching us for the first time, please take a second and subscribe to our channel. When you subscribe, don't forget to click that notification bell. It is that bell that will allow YouTube to notify you via that bell whenever we release a video like this. And please don't go without giving this video a like. It goes a long way in supporting the videos. Now, ladies and gentlemen, ahead of 2027, the government has launched a scaremongering tactic to lure people towards William Samoei Ruto, because William Ruto is looking at factors that determines winning an election, especially when he juxtaposes those factors to the very, very factors in 2022, and he realizes that things have changed. Amid that brief phrase that they're giving us lies a very, very scared team that understands that it is not business as usual. And so William Ruto and the entire system is now painting a picture of a president who is now being supported by all the dynasties. And there is a continued pursuit and hunting for other leaders, especially in their radar is Kalonzo Musyoka. And William Ruto is telling us that he's got the support of the dynasties. I want you to listen to William Ruto. And when you listen to what he's saying, please just flip the coin and listen to what he's not saying. It's going to be very interesting when you listen to Ruto. Please don't go, because I want to show you more of the government officials who have been charged to spread these scaremongering tactics wanatuuzia uoga. They are selling fear so that we feel like, oh, William Ruto can never be defeated. Kindly listen to William Ruto.
Nimezungumza na viongozi wengi katika taifa letu la Kenya. Nimeongea na wabunge almost 80% of parliament, one on one, to explain to them how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. I have had a conversation with our former Prime Minister Raila Odinga on how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. I have engaged my brother, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, on how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. I have engaged many, including Gideon Moi recently, on how we are going to move this country from a third world country to a first world country. And I will continue to engage all the leaders until we come together so that we can take this country to be a first world country in our lifetime, because it is possible.
Now, listening carefully, when you scrutinize the statement that William Ruto is giving, he's telling us he has talked to Raila, he has talked to Uhuru Kenyatta, he's talked to recently Gideon Moi. And in a nutshell, he's telling us that these people are now supporting him. Even though he's not putting it that way, he's trying to choreograph this statement to mean that it is an inclusive government, that he's reaching out to his former competitors to ensure that they build Kenya as a team. But when you flip that coin, you realize that what William Ruto is telling us, indirectly, is that these people are now supporting me. Therefore, the opposition is wasting their time, because when you have Raila and you have Uhuru Kenyatta and you have Gideon Moi, then in his mind he wants to show us that he's trying to tell us that he can never be defeated. Yet in his own very mind, he knows this is a fallacy. And I will tell you why. But if you want to know just how serious this is, listen to Musalia Mudavadi weighing into this discussion. And from Musalia Mudavadi is even bragging that he once told these people that William Ruto was going to win in 2022. And he had predicted that the master of handshakes, Raila Odinga, would get into another coalition with Ruto. And is now telling us that it is even getting more serious when Gideon Moi has been brought in. And I want you to listen to Musalia Mudavadi too.
Si niliwaambia nikiwa hapa mara nyingi, nikawaambia kwanza Mheshimiwa Ruto atashinda. Watu wakafikiri mimi nasema uongo. Nikakuja nikawaambia mimi nimeona kwamba competitor mkuu wa Mheshimiwa William Ruto ambaye ni Raila Odinga hivi karibuni watashikana, watatengeneza ushirikiano, ndio hiyo broad based government. Mkafikiri mimi nawaambia uongo. Mimi nataka muutazame sasa. Kama hamjaona, mumeona sasa President Ruto amezungumza na ndugu yake Gideon Moi, ndio hao wamekuja pamoja. Sasa nilipowaambia itakuwa vigumu sana kushinda Ruto, wengine walikuwa nafikiri tena ni mchezo.
So according to Musalia Mudavadi, just like his boss William Ruto, the game is over because the dynasties are there, and that all these leaders and politicians have joined UDA. They are now supporting UDA. So according to him, they should not guess. They should not do a guesswork. They should, vote for William Ruto, because even if they don't vote for him, he will become the president. And there is this narrative that is being brought, if you've listened to Mudavadi before, that you can never defeat a sitting president, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. That has been the narrative. You've listened to them saying, you can never defeat Ruto because he defeated the dynasties. He defeated Uhuru and his project Raila Amolo Odinga, and that in Africa, or rather in Kenya, William Ruto cannot be the first president to be defeated in his one term. But the opposition is also watching. And I want you to listen to FREDRICK Matiangi telling off Mudavadi, telling off William Ruto, that this scaremongering tactics that, you can never be defeated, there is no sitting president in Africa, cannot taste the bitter taste of a one-term president. Matiangi is saying this is all bullshit, and that it has happened and it is going to happen to William Ruto. Listen to OOKO Matiangi.
People have been saying that the mood in Africa is such that you cannot serve one term, that it's very difficult to remove a sitting president. I honestly think that nonsense has now been sorted out, and you know what that is. So, Kenyan people, soon enough we will have our opportunity to do a good thing for this country and follow suit and do what other good Africans have done where they have not been satisfied by service provision and service delivery. I honestly don't think we will let the Kenyan people down.
And ladies and gentlemen, what I want to say is this. This kind of leaders who come to us and they want to intimidate, this is indirect and soft intimidation. When someone tells you that you now have Raila, and I have Moi, and I have Kenyatta, we've been talking, he's telling us that there is a kind of a handshake. He is trying to intimidate. But like OOKO says it, we have seen examples today. In fact, there is a kind of storm that is raging in Africa, where youths do not want to tolerate bad leaders, corrupt leaders, leaders who cannot uphold human rights. And they are taking it upon themselves to ensure that they show their rage and anger. And you've seen in those countries where presidents are being defeated, it only means that when Kenyans are determined and they rally in one accord, they can defeat a sitting president, because it is not about what these people are telling us. It is about our resolve to change our nation. It is our resolve to ensure that the status quo is defeated by the forces of change. Now, one thing that Mudavadi must understand is that Kenyans are wiser than how they were in 2022. You see, in 2022, William Ruto created a narrative of a dynasty and a hustler. Do you think William Ruto can still campaign under the narrative of a hustler? Back then, he said he was the chief hustler. He said he understood the predicaments of Kenyans because he started as an egg vendor. And he said Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta were born and bred in dynasties, in state house. And therefore, according to him, they could not feel the troubles and the problems and the pain of hunger and poverty because they had never tasted that. Today, William Ruto, you can even hear him say that he has talked to the dynasties, meaning that he cannot come about and talk about the hustler nation anymore because he's now the chief dynasty. He's now part of them. Things have changed. The social media is playing a very big role. Gen Zs have risen up. They are no longer taking lies, swallowing those lies. So this is not 2022. William Ruto succeeded in hoodwinking Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is gone completely. So things are not the same. The other thing that he must realize is that, he's telling us that he's relying on Raila Odinga. But he knows that Raila has lost part of his support base. Raila was controlling Nyanza, but as we speak, Kisii is gone. The Kisii, Nyamira, and all that, those two counties are gone, and yet they're with Matiangi, meaning they're in the opposition. Look at Western. Western has really voted for Raila faithfully. But after this handshake in this broad-based government, they are not there. Part of it will go with Natembeya, Eugene. There is this clique of politicians who have decided enough is enough. So if he thought that by taking people like Raila, then he's going to joyride, it is not the same. You've seen it. William Ruto thought that very proudly after impeaching Gachagua and taking Raila Odinga, he was going to have a leeway to do whatever he wants. But Gachagua ameiwasha. Gachagua ameamua, we are not giving you peace. In fact, Ruto regrets because Raila was a little bit, passive in his attack. But now, Gachagua has raised it higher. Kasongo, Mwizi, Muuaji, Mfisadi. He's calling Ruto names that not very many politicians would dare call him. So just like he thought that by trying to annihilate Gachagua and bringing in Raila, he would have his way. No. It is the same thing that is going to happen in 2027. The moment they removed Gachagua, calling him a villager, Gachagua said, I've listened to the ground, and Gachagua is trying to fit in Raila's shoes and he's got the people. Politics is not about leaders. In fact, I don't understand the equation or the kind of arithmetic that William Ruto is trying to give us. William Ruto defeated Gideon Moi, meaning Gideon Moi does not serve him politically, does not help him. The person whom you defeated cannot help you. You cannot brag that after, bringing in someone who you defeated, then you tell us that you've now added some numbers. No. William Ruto controls the Rift Valley. William Ruto brags that he defeated Uhuru Kenyatta. And Uhuru was in charge of Mount Kenya. So by bringing in Uhuru Kenyatta, there is nothing he's adding because Mount Kenya has gone. In fact, when he defeated Uhuru Kenyatta, he defeated him because he had taken, the people of Mount Kenya listened to him. Now he's coming back, he's, bringing in Uhuru Kenyatta, but the Mount Kenya fraternity is not there. The voters are not there. So does William Ruto think that he will simply win because he's got the dynasties? Who is coming with the numbers? Because even in Luo Nyanza, it's not going to be 100%. There are people who are tired of Kasongo. And therefore, just telling us that you've talked to Gideon Moi, to Raila and Uhuru, and you think that will give you a win. No. They can vote for you plus their families because you are protecting their businesses. But there are Kenyans who are hungry, Kenyans who feel the pain of the cost of education, Kenyans who have lost their children in the hands of this regime, Kenyans who feel the pain of corruption. They will not just vote for, they will not vote for you just because you've shaken hands with the dynasties.